Well, Treshaun Ward, he is hoping for some likes in his new destination, wherever that is. We have found out some transfer portal entries of note that have made their destinations known, have landed somewhere. But Treshaun Ward, still, obviously, this is just recently announced. So this one, until Jason explained this to me before we recorded, I wasn't shocked, but still, he's been pretty prominent in this offense.
It's a little bit disappointing for me, and I'll admit it did 100% catch me off guard, because it's more of a, okay, you had a big game. Yes, you had your injuries over the course of the season, but you're talking about a guy, 628 yards over the course of the season, and 7 touchdowns, big game in his last game. It's disappointing because I would have loved to have him and Trey Benson together. I think that two-headed monster would have reminded me a lot about what we had like in 2013 when you had Devontae Freeman Jr., and then you moved Carlos Woods over from the defensive side of the ball. I remember that time in 2013 when that was just a dangerous group back there. But if you were thinking about this from Treshaun Ward's side, it's the best time to go. At a 2-touchdown game on national TV against a decent name in Oklahoma, you weren't going to be the number one guy, because obviously Trey Benson was the point. If you're going to do it, now is the best time to do it. And I think, and I'm going to respect the way he did it. He did it with class. He did it with dignity. Mike Norvell responded as such. And I think that's another thing with the way the culture is changing, is that these guys are leaving, but it's not like they're leaving with hard feelings. These guys aren't announcing their transfers and saying, to hell with FSU. They're saying, hey, I had good times here. I had great moments, but I need to go do what's best interest. Mike Norvell is being absolutely respectful. The way he's handling it, I think there's a lot of respect. Going back to the decision, Logan, you're around that team more. What are your thoughts on this, and how do you think this will affect Florida State's offense coming up next season?
Yeah, I think this is with Benson, it seemed, being the solidified starter for next year seemed to be the case. I'm very high on Treshaun Ward. I was very high on him the last couple of years. Just seeing him in practice 2 years ago and some of the scrimmages, I was like, yeah, that's your starting running back. He's got all the skills. He's got grid vision. And you saw what he did against Oklahoma. We just saw that not too long ago. Great character. Goes from a walk-on, fights, competes, had multiple offers to other schools across the country, but decided to come into a Florida State running back room and compete and win a starting job, and then eventually win and earn a scholarship for Florida State under Mike Norvell. I thought just the way that kind of person you want to have in that locker room. I think that's something that Mike Norvell is, sadly going to miss. He put out a tweet, like you were saying, Jason, a lot of these tweets coming from Mike Norvell in response to these guys announcing that they're going to transfer out into the NCAA transfer portal. Like, there's a lot of love for these players and wishing them the best and get better opportunities. There's a reason why they were practicing too. Like a guy like Amari Gaynor, who just announced that he's going to be going to stay in the ACC and go to North Carolina. There is a lot of support for them to get better opportunities, more playing time to show their talent. And some of it might be different position changes, might be just simply more playing time, or, just pass up on the depth chart. There's just certain things that go on in a football team. And luckily Florida State has been very supportive of these guys. And it just goes to show the culture change that's happened in that locker room. But, I kind of knew of this coming before the bowl game, a couple weeks beforehand, kind of told from the staff alone. It was very transparent that, that playing time was going to be cut down going into 2023. That injury did not help whatsoever. And I think, Ward absolutely deserves somewhere where he can be a primary back. From what I was told earlier today, a couple schools, Kansas State, Georgia Tech, have reached out, and there's been a ton more too, from what I've heard on the FSU side of teams intrigued on Treshaun Ward. So look for him to get a lot of visit opportunities. But this is loaded running backfield, guys. This is a lot of talent there, and for forgetting a guy like Isaiah Holmes, who transferred from Penn State to come and compete for playing time. We've already talked about Trey Benson. We know what you get out of Trey Benson, but you've got Lawrence Toafili, who is going to return for 2023. And then you've got CJ Campbell. You've got a true freshman who we saw flashes of, not maybe a whole ton of game experience, but we got to see him in practice. And yeah, he's got what it takes. Rodney Hill is also there. So too many running backs in one room, and Samuel Singleton, who's a true freshman coming in that running back. It's just too many.